I met my wife. Well, I was in fashion college at the time, studying ladies' tailoring and dressmaking. And while I was at college there, I met a guy, another student. There was only three guys in the school, I think. The rest were girls. And he told me that he had a part-time job working in a restaurant. And that piqued my interest, and I thought, sounds interesting. I think I like that. So he arranged for me to call out to the restaurant here in lovely Monkstown in Dublin. It was a strip of restaurants, and it still is today, all these years later. Quite famous for it, for restaurants. And there was an Italian restaurant there. It was upstairs above the Spar shop on the corner in the center of Monkstown, Little Venice. And I got myself a job there as a waiter, and I loved it. I really, really loved being a waiter. I love to be helpful to people. I like to get things for people. I like to do things for people. I like to be kind. And that's made all the better when you get paid for it and you get tips for it too. So I loved being a waiter. One afternoon, I guess the shift would probably start at 5 o'clock, it used to. And no customers really would come in. Maybe you'd see one at 5:30 or something, or really not any earlier. There wouldn't be anyone there. And so it would just be the staff. So I was there one afternoon around 5 o'clock, and I was doing something over near the coffee machine, I do remember. I could have been polishing cutlery even, although, yeah, I could have been polishing cutlery. We used to do that. We used to, you'd put boiling water and some vinegar into one of those metal food containers, the smaller ones, the square-shaped ones, and we'd drop all the cutlery in there and then take it out one by one, and you'd polish it with a tea towel and then put it away ready for service. It was a good restaurant. And this day, I looked over towards the door, and a lady had just come in, and I could see that she was talking to the manager, and I could see that she was giving him A4 piece of paper. So I guessed that this girl was looking for a job here. And I stood looking for a few moments as she chatted with the manager, and then she turned around and left, bade goodbye, and the manager made his way back towards me, towards his office, and I said to him, I love that woman. Unless you're going to give her a job, I quit right now because I'm walking out the door afterwards. You choose. So he was surprised and he laughed, but they were looking for somebody and she seemed suitable, so he said, I'll give her a job. You'll see her again. And she was not an easy woman at all. She still isn't, but she's quite wonderful. The most wonderful or the most difficult, I think. And yeah, I dated her and I wined and dined her. I didn't go excessive. We spent a lot of time. We would go for lunch to the Boulevard Cafe on Exchequer Street in Dublin. I think all of these restaurants I'm going to mention are probably closed, or most of them anyway. The Boulevard was a great place. Their staff were exceptional, and I think a lot of people went there just for the staff, to experience the restaurant. And it was always good, novel, interesting dishes on the menu. They were never overpriced. It was pretty much always the same prices. And went there a lot, to the Boulevard. One time there was a famous movie director there, just by himself, and he was sitting at a table by the window, and he had his shoe and his sock removed, and he was clipping or just picking his toenails. He had all sorts in the restaurant. It's a super restaurant, the Boulevard. Then we would have gone to Rowley's Bistro in Ballsbridge too, quite a bit. That was the excessive end, I guess you could say, but only in terms of flash. Like, this is a great restaurant. We should go here. The service was excellent. The food was, like, all of these places had excellent food and excellent service. Rowley's was fine dining, fine dining. I would always tip the manager at the door on the way in when he would greet us. It was that kind of a place, and I was going out of my way to have the very best for my date. So we did have the very best, but our favorite place, my wife's favorite place, and my favorite place too, was the Unicorn. The Unicorn was an Italian restaurant run by Italians who imported everything from Italy, and it was pretty much only Italian spoken by all the staff because they were all Italian, and they were running the restaurant as though this was in Milan or wherever in Italy, and it was really authentic. It was fantastic. They had big charcuterie, like a section of the building almost was devoted to charcuterie, as in it was all hanging from the ceiling all over the place. I learned to eat olive oil with bread and black pepper there. Put some olive oil onto your plate, and then sprinkle of salt, sprinkle of pepper, and then smoosh your bread into it and eat it like that. I had a lot of great afternoons there. It wasn't just my wife I used to bring there either, because I had been going here before I met my wife. So I brought lots of people there, and yeah, the Unicorn was really sublime, is the only word I can give to it. I remember sunny summer evenings sitting there with what had begun as a lunch, and still I'm there at 5 o'clock. It was very popular with, celebrities, not so much, but business people, politicians, that kind of end of things. The Unicorn really was fantastic. It was the guy who started it. I think his name was Giorgio. I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure his second name begins with a C. But he had 2 kids, and those kids, they went on, at some point anyway, they had an entire building around the corner on St. Stephen's Green. I think they did anyway, and it was a club. I don't know how that went on, but Papa's restaurant was really a restaurant. It was, I don't know, is there anything today in Dublin on a par with what the Unicorn had been in the 90s? I think they went into the zeros as well. I don't know when they finished, when they closed finally. I walked down, there's a street coming straight off St. Stephen's Green in the centre of Dublin, and just as you go onto that street, it's called Bagot Street, just as you go onto that street, there's a little alleyway, and down that alleyway was where the Unicorn was, hidden away, tucked away. Giorgio's sons, one of them at least, was into cars in a big way. Maybe he was trading in cars, I don't know, but every week there would be a different superpower sports car parked down the alleyway. So I don't know what he was doing. Did he have a job testing them maybe or something? But every week a different supercar parked in the alley. Maybe some Italian connections arranged something. I have no idea. I was never into cars, really. No, I never was into cars. And I've got another video about my car getting wrecked 2 times, not by my hand, by anger of others, is the only way to put it down. Road rage, that kind of stuff. So yeah, so that's how I met my wife. And she's a good driver.